Welcome to High Oracle's Reiki Spiritual Healing Channel. And I wanted to tell you guys a little story. And before I do, I wanted to challenge all of you ladies who have had female problems during this Ramadan, the last couple of days of Ramadan. I wanted to challenge you, let's make sure that we're fasting and finishing out our fast strong before the end of the month, so that there is not another year that comes around and we owe God time. We're going to pay that time right now so that we can receive our blessings and so that he doesn't have to take that time from us. So this is how we deal with that kind of issue. And, we thank God under all conditions. So, what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is when people do not understand that, when there are people who are highly educated, they also will have a spirit attached to them, arrogance, denial. They will have people who are supposed to be your superior, whether they are family, your older brother or older sister. They will misunderstand you on purpose. And many of these people are narcissists. So what I wanted to do is clarify, because, I don't like to repeat myself. But I do like for people to understand me, so that when you are in a situation, when the people before us have been in a situation, let me fix my camera, guys. When your people are in a situation and a lot of our people who have become entitled because of their position, because of the knowledge that God has given to them, because of their education, because of their experience over other people, then they will, and many times they will be narcissistic or have narcissistic personality disorders. And this is with men and women. Okay, so we want to first talk about when our civil rights leaders, we're talking about, we're walking and marching across the Esmond Pettus Bridge. They were talking about the civil rights, the housing rights, unjust laws, the bus laws, entire states that were racist, entire states that you would come up missing in, be lynched, and we have to understand that we have to pick up where those people left off at. No matter how much you may think that it is minuscule or meaningless, we have to pick up where those people left off at, because in many cases you may not understand how important it is for a person to have, and 333, as I'm saying that again, master number. Okay, where there is a few of us, God is among us. Okay, so I want you to listen up so that you understand where I'm coming from and what my stance is and why I said what I said. A lot of you have never had to go through, a sit-in. You've never had to, go through homelessness. And so therefore you will say things that you do not totally understand what you're saying. And I'm going to tell you why. I have met with people on this journey where their elderly parents is living in a project. They're living in a high-rise that has mold, built before 1975, asbestos, bed bugs, roaches, and it's really horrible. It's really horrible, and I know that some of you know, but your title or position prevents you from understanding the severity of some of these facilities that's being run by the government, that's being run by HUD. These people who are not, held accountable, and, they have lead in them. And when you're having to write a petition to HUD, when you're having to stand and stay, in these places, and I'm trying to tell you that I've been there, and I'm going to give you a little bit of my history leading up to why I have decided, I'm just going to stay right here until God moves me. Okay. And just look at you. Okay. So we have this understanding that these types of people know that their buildings, their apartments is harming your kids. It's causing the mental challenges, the physical, the birth defects, the physical challenges. And because you are, in alignment with something that you have no knowledge about. You're in alignment with, having, just being glad that you have somewhere to stay. So let me make sure that in the midst, I'm a very sensitive person. I'm a very sensitive person because when I was in, my home, I'm in my home, I'm renting my home. My husband and I rented this home for 10 years. Did not know that the owners have covered up the mold and the asbestos in the home. And my sensitivity, I started to have the allergies that I had as a child. And anytime I go into a place, even if it's a workspace, and I start to experience allergies, then there is something, malevolent there in that place. There is something that, I'm sensitive to that, will cause me to get sick. So again, during this time where I had been evicted, I went to my family member's house. I went to, my family member's house. And when I started to experience these types of attacks, these allergies, these sensitivities to black mold, to, asbestos, to these different types of, biohazardous attacks that they are letting our people stay in, knowingly that it's going to cause these types of attacks up on you. Okay, so when I have petitioned the HUD about these types of buildings, the dilapidated land, land flooding with the housing authorities, and these people are all in collusion. And so therefore you will have to make a choice, especially during this time where there is an attack upon their people. Do you want to be, in proximity to those unbelievers, those evildoers, those colonizers, those people that you want to, pretend that as long as you have you somewhere to stay, that, that is the flex. When in reality that a lot of you are having the problems even as an adult because your mothers and fathers had to stay in these dilapidated places that has created, birth defects in you, mental defects in you, health defects, breathing problems in you as adults. And you don't know where these types of attacks are coming from, because it is an attack from these people, these landlords, these landowners, the building owners. And there are certain ones of us that have been standing, that is fighting for this reason for you. And this is why I say, if you're entitled and you haven't been fighting on this front line in this battle, you've only been working your job. You've only been interested in your, credentials that you've earned. And I'm all for you. I'm glad that you're very smart. But I'm trying to tell you that, you have been getting sick, and it is a generational curse. And now your children have this, because this type of ailment, these types of birth defects were not in your family until your family had no choice but to live in these dilapidated houses, on the dilapidated land that is flooding, in the mold infested asbestos houses that's sending problems, blood problems, blood toxins. Okay, so therefore I cannot just live anywhere. It has to be, purified. It has to be cleansed. It has to be inspected. So I cannot just, go and get me an apartment. If these houses, and many of the houses in America, they are trying to salvage, and many of them are dilapidated and need to be torn down or gutted out from the bottom to the top, and they do not want to spend the money. Why would a narcissist want to spend money on you? And they're going to continue to collect your rent. So you have to make sure that you're making the right decision, that you would choose to stay with your master. You would have to make sure that you're making the right decision, that becoming homeless is not the thing to do. And just because you're homeless, that doesn't mean that you don't have the money. And like I said, I can have the money all day. And, there's two things that I'm going to tell you, that if God said no, then it's a no for me. Okay. And the second thing, and it might be even a third, if God said that this place is dilapidated, it's going to make you sick, you're going to, start over from where you were healing at, in 2015, a lot of you don't know that this is what causes the widespread pain all over your body. Okay. Living in these death traps. So this is what I have been fighting. I have been on the front line fighting these types of wars. So this is why I say a lot of you do not know, what you're talking about when you're talking about homelessness, and why certain people experience homelessness. Because we can't live in the death trap, and if you choose to, if that's your flex, and you choose to, risk your health, then, that's between you and the God that you serve, that you're not listening to. Okay, now just look at you. So I just wanted to make sure that I clarify, why a person would choose homelessness, and they have the money. They have the money, but, I can't go into certain houses. I can't live in certain places. I tried to live with family members, and, many of them, they were just as worse as the people that I was fighting. So, this is what we do. We have to take these people to court. We have to, document, when we move out of the environment of these houses, and when we're in those houses, especially with our children, especially when we're pregnant. And, in many of the courts, in many of the courts documentation, those files that have been previously filed on certain subjects of dilapidated housing, you will have, the causation of the illness, the causation of you having to move, the causation of, them evicting you wrongfully. And I know this because I have been through it. So this is why I just wanted to, give you a clarification why some people cannot go into the housing, and why we fight, for our rights that our ancestors fought for before us. And this is what we should be doing, women and men. I really appreciate all of you who are on the front lines, who are fighting. And, please reach out to me. And you can reach out to me and talk to me. I'm not going to bite you. I'm going to have a conversation with you. So, you know, I really appreciate all of you. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. Donate to me. You can book your one-on-one life coaching sessions or your video chat sessions. You can book your consultations if you are under attack from the place where you live, the land, the housing, and I will be sure to acclimate a gift to your situation. I'm High Oracle, Reiki Spiritual Healer. Assalamu alaikum.